I think this was OkCupid data from like 20 years ago. No, it wasn't OkCupid. This was might have been Science of Sex. They showed pictures of women to men, and this one's gonna piss you guys off. Do you know what age men consistently rated the highest? Without knowing the age, just looking at a picture of a female, what age scored the highest in sexual attractiveness every time?
Like
It's pretty low.
18,
20,
isn't it?
20,
It's like
21.
16, 17,
Is 14.
14.
The subject matter I'll be discussing in this video is crucial, utterly vital to the regime's strategy for attaining more power. What I'm about to attack is one of the regime's most necessary ingredients for keeping the facade of legitimacy. The less people can do for themselves, the more they depend on the government. And the more that people depend on the government, the more power the government wields, and the less likely it will ever have to deal with a rebellion. There's a reason I begin every video with these 4 simple words. Study power, not ideology. The Olympics were this year, and a certain Norwegian woman drew the attention of many. I won't even attempt to pronounce that name. I kept seeing posts about how beautiful she is and how beauty standards in America have catastrophically fallen. As it turns out, she's 17, and instead of everyone agreeing with the obvious fact that she's a beautiful woman, some creeps inevitably decided to seize the opportunity to project their perverted nature by calling her a child, as they always do. Now, to the layman, this might sound strange. Like, a 17-year-old being called a child? How is that perverted? So this random guy says, not smart posting your lust for a 16-year-old girl. First of all, she's 17, and second of all, well, the rest of this video. So what is a child? According to dictionary.com, a person between birth and puberty or full growth. Let's read that again, shall we? A person between birth and puberty or full growth. Of course, this now begs the question, when do girls become women? Well, according to a quick Google search, 14 or 15 years old. So that's according to healthline.com, about 14 or 15. According to Medical News Today, 14 or 15. According to babycenter.com, 15. According to Peanut App IO something, about 14 or 15. So the overwhelming consensus is that females are fully grown by the age of 15. I tried looking for research that said it might be as high as 18, but I couldn't find any. The oldest I found said 16, but even that had a caveat of, yeah, it's usually before this. Now just watch, Google is going to censor the search results for this because it's devastating to their communist agenda. More to that later. So now it's firmly established that by the age of 17, females are full-grown women. Why we needed research to establish this, I don't know, because most people already have functioning eyeballs. So for the anyone younger than 18 is still a child crowd, I rhetorically ask this, how are they still children exactly? Because not only does science firmly disagree with you, but most of the world disagrees with you already. Look at this map of Europe. Take one long look at it. That's Europe. That's not the Islamic world. That's not primitive Africa. That's Europe. In May 2004, Saturday Night Live released a sketch called Harry Potter Hermione Growth Spurt. It featured Lindsay Lohan portraying Hermione Granger, who over the course of the summer seemed to have fully developed. The entire cast, including the women, spend the whole sketch staring at her tits. Guess how old Lohan was when this was filmed and released? Let's see, it was released May 2004. She was born July 1986. She was 17. Now let's look at the stats. Over 74 million views across over 10 years. Now look at the approval rating. 94% approval. I'll spell this out slowly. 74 million views, 94% approval rating. About a sketch where everyone stares at a 17-year-old's chest. And remember, this isn't just a sketch involving a 17-year-old. The entire premise of the sketch is about Hermione being grown up. Look at the top comments of the video. Nary a mention of her being 17. Oh, I'm not even close to being done talking about Lindsay Lohan. See, there's this movie you may have heard of called Mean Girls. It's only one of the most quotable movies of all time.
And on the third day,
God created the Remington bolt-action rifle so that man could fight the dinosaurs and the homosexuals.
Amen.
This is Damien. He's almost too gay to function.
Nice wig, Janice. What's it made of?
Your mom's chest hair.
Don't have sex, because you will get pregnant and die.
She's totally rich because her dad invented toaster strudel.
One time, she punched me in the face. It was awesome.
So fetch.
So if you're from Africa, why are you white?
Oh my God, Karen, you can't just ask people why they're white.
Ashton Kutcher.
Is that a band?
Get in, loser. We're going shopping.
Okay, that was so fetch.
Girl, I want to lose 3 pounds.
Glen Coco? Fall for you, Glen Coco. You go, Glen Coco.
That is so fetch.
Gretchen, stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen. I really want to lose 3 pounds. You want to do something fun? You want to go to Taco Bell? It's like I have ESPN or something. I like invented her, you know what I mean?
And I want my pink shirt back! I want my pink shirt back!
When this movie was filmed and released, guess how old Lindsay Lohan was? Let's see, she was 17. For such a classic movie, still beloved to this day, surely there wouldn't be any sexualization of someone her age, right? Right?
Oh, you'll get socialized, all right. A little slice like you.
What are you talking about?
You're a regulation hottie.
Is your muffin buttered?
What?
Would you like us to assign someone to butter your muffin?
My what? Do you want to have sex with him? No, thank you.
That was something. Come to the stage. Santa's Helpers doing Jingle Bell Rock.
Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock.
They dress so slutty, and you're not supposed to look at them. There's a segment in society that if you look at those giant, luscious teenage breasts, will say, oh, you're a pervert and a pedophile, and you're ogling children. Bullshit. Children do not have D-cup tits. That's not a child, okay?
Giddy up to your feet, jingle around the clock. Mix and a mingle and a jingle and beat. That's the jingle bell, that's the jingle bell, that's the jingle bell rock.
That kitty girl is hot. She might even be hotter than Regina George.
If you see these two pictures of the same person, and you think both pictures feature a child, there's something wrong with you, not the rest of us. This is what I meant by what I said earlier about these people who call under 18s children. If you look at a full-grown adult and still see a child, the one with serious problems is you. Because all you're doing is projecting and shouting from the rooftops that you see children everywhere you look. It's disgusting even pointing this out. A long time ago, Matt Walsh observed the absurdity of how most people in the West perceive this subject. Let's listen to what he said.
Ever since the beginning of time, teenage girls have been getting pregnant. It used to be more common. The peak, ever since they started keeping records of these things, which they only started doing recently, like in the 20th century, but ever since they started keeping records, in 1957 was the peak for teenage pregnancy. 1957. Not 2009,
well, back
not
then,
today.
All of them were supposed to have kids. Like, that's when you had kids.
That's my point, okay? So to all of a sudden act like this phenomenon of girls getting pregnant at a young age that we consider young, 16 or 17, to act like it's a new thing is ridiculous. It's always been that way. Even biologically, and this is me just stating, right now I'm going to start by just stating facts. So fact number 1, it's not a new phenomenon. Fact number 2, in fact, it's a phenomenon that was more common earlier in history, and for the first 6,000 to 10,000 years of human existence, it was a normal thing. Fact 3, girls between the ages of like 17 and 24 is when they're technically most fertile. Yeah. Okay? That's biological. That's a fact, all right? I'm just stating facts. That's all I'm doing. But what happened recently, and this is the 4th fact, recently in the last 30 years or so, we decided that that's way too young to start a family.
Why?
And because now
divorce rates would probably go up, and once you're that young, you can't really make sure that you know.
No, girls are good. No.
Because
Because
girls were getting married early and marriages were lasting longer. You very rarely hear about like these relationships that go to their what is it, your diamond anniversary, your 50th anniversary, and all this. That's a dying breed of people out there.
Yeah, and those were all people that got married very young. That's why
they're still alive.
Yeah, that's why you can have someone in their 70s who's celebrating their 55th wedding anniversary because they got married when they were teenagers. So what I'm saying is that the problem is not per se teenage pregnancy; it's unwed pregnancy. That's the problem in society. It's only problematic when you are not married and you don't have the man there to help you take care of the kids because he's a coward. And the reason why we have that now are for two reasons. Because we have in current society, we live in the age of extended adolescence.
Okay, now let's listen to his reaction to other people's reaction.
At its core, it's a rather uncontroversial historical observation, but the left has latched on to this point from years ago and tried to use it to flip the groomer label around on me, accusing me of, quote, promoting teen pregnancy and even child rape, as some of the libelous statements would have it. This is a defamatory lie. They know it's a lie, and it shows how desperate they are. They've chosen the most toxic smears available because smears are all they have. Now, in summary, my enemies have thrown every last thing they can at me, the whole kitchen sink and a few of the appliances to go along with it. I'm not the first person to get this treatment, obviously. I certainly won't be the last. Their objective is nothing less than the wholesale destruction of my life and my career. That's what they're going for. That's the price they expect me to pay for opposing them effectively. They hope to force me to submit and apologize, at which point, of course, as it goes, they'll shoo me away with my tail between my legs, out of public view, out of the arena, off into obscurity. This is my punishment, the life sentence they expect me to serve for trying to stop them from abusing and butchering children. And it's not just me they're after. They want to send a message to everybody else. They want to send a message to you that if you stand up against them, this is what happens. They want to make me into another head on a spike, one of many. They put out on the edge of town a warning to anyone else who might think about disobeying their rules. So here's my official answer, for the record. Kiss my ass. I do not apologize. In fact, by all rights, you sick freaks should be the ones apologizing to me.
All of this is true. Everything Matt Walsh said was true, whether you're comfortable with the truth or not. And Matt's point about trying to keep people childlike, I couldn't agree with more, because that is the point. This entire trend of calling everyone who observes biological reality a pedo is both a conspiracy and a psyop to keep the population as childlike as possible for as long as possible. Like I said in my last video, a stupid population is easier to control. This is why the subject needs to be addressed, no matter how uncomfortable it makes truth tellers. The pro-reality crowd needs to defend the truth at all costs. It's about power. It's always about power. Study power, not ideology.
Let me explain the nature of power here. It does not matter how small. Every inch, every centimeter, every millimeter must be gatekept and defended with unbridled ruthlessness, because they are like a virus with a cattle rod up their asses, and their only function is to destroy.
Just look at the comments of this video, or all the people sharing this video. You will see no shortage of people doing everything they can to shut me up by trying to make me look like I'm the creep. It's about power. They want to control what you think and what others think about you. Here's the most important thing you need to understand about the left. All they want is power. You may think they want power with utopia. No, they don't even want utopia, just power. And if you disagree with them, or even if you're one of them who isn't pure enough, they will do everything they can to either make you submit or shut you up. And with the left in particular, their one and only tactic for acquiring power is manipulation. Propaganda, language games like calling adults children, shaming, intimidation, and just straight up old-fashioned lying. Any manipulation tactic you can think of, it's all they have, whether they have power or not. Why does the left still need manipulation even when they have power? Because their worldview is completely unrealistic and unsustainable, sometimes the exact opposite of reality. And since they can't change reality, they have to resort to controlling the minds of the masses. This is why, no matter what, no matter the victories the left achieves, their tactics and moral bankruptcy will never end. This subject is very important to leftists because it involves one of their main strategies for controlling the masses, keeping them ignorant, keeping them helpless, keeping them stupid. What better way to keep the masses ignorant than keeping them as childish as possible for as long as possible? And one of the ways they do this is by insisting adults are still children. The longer you take to grow the hell up, the happier the left is. Reality is their arch nemesis. So for anyone who still sides with the left, even this far into the video, what do you think puberty even is? Seriously, what is puberty? Puberty is the period or age at which a person is first capable of sexual reproduction of offspring. In common law, presumed to be 14 years in the male and 12 years in the female. So the purpose of puberty is making children, which implies you're ready to raise children, or should be. Which logically can only mean one thing. Puberty makes a person not a child anymore. Logically, if it's normal for children to have children, then what even remains to define a child as? Now, I said, if it's normal, and I phrased it that way on purpose. There is a condition called precocious puberty, and by definition, it is not normal. The world's youngest mother was 5 years old, which means she went through puberty at God only knows what age. Everyone knows when it is normal to go through puberty, which means everyone knows when it is not normal. The entire point of puberty is so that humans can start making little humans. And to throw even more logic at all of you, it's completely normal for people, once they've gone through puberty, to start being interested in the act of reproduction. This last paragraph has been building up to a very damning rhetorical question for the people younger than 18 are children crowd. Are you trying to make the argument that it's normal for children to want to sleep with other people? See what I mean with all of this? The people who cry 17-year-olds are still children are the ones who truly and clearly have some demented, fucked up perceptions. As I already stated, they look at full-grown adults and still see children. By believing that pubescent people are still children for several years, they are admitting they think it's normal for children to want to sleep with each other, as teenagers quote-unquote do. And then, worst of fucking all, there's a now growing crowd saying that 18 itself is too young. Enter the brains aren't fully developed until 25 crowd. Do you also see what I mean about these freaks wanting people to remain juvenile for as long as possible? You starting to see it now? Yes, it is true that the brain is not fully developed until the mid-20s. So what? The level of creep you have to be to insist that people 24 years of age and younger are still children. Okay, in the minds of these people, someone is not an adult until they are a quarter of a century old. 24, still a child. So at 24, they're still too young to watch an R-rated movie, stay outside past a certain time, work, vote, drink alcohol, drive a car alone, air travel alone, live alone, and of course have sex and raise children. Holy Moses, this would also imply that people should stay in school longer too. So instead of K through 12, which is already authoritarian and retarded as it is, should be K through 19 instead, since we're apparently adding 7 years to childhood now? No. Logically, biologically, we were meant to become parents when we have gone through puberty, and that's the way our species has done things since the beginning of time. We all know calling 24-year-olds children is asinine beyond articulation, and I won't waste any more time addressing it. You know what makes people grow up faster mentally? Raising children. I didn't become a father until I was 27, and I will still say that I wasn't as mature mentally as I should have been until my child was born. Oh, and what do we also hear from leftists on a regular basis? Don't have kids. Yep, always some bullshit about having a career first or saving the planet, keeping more money for yourself. Kids aren't worth the immense stress. The message is me, 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 me. So raising kids, the thing second only to puberty that makes people truly grow up and mature, is also something the left doesn't want people to do. So what do we got here? Maps calling adults children and telling people not to have kids. Is it starting to make sense now? When Leo DiCaprio starts dating a woman who's 30 years younger than him, there's all this moral outrage at how young his girlfriend is. People try to paint her as a victim, that Leo is taking advantage of her. But these pearl clutchers keep ignoring an inconvenient question. What if she is attracted to Leo because he's older? What if that's completely normal for women? Well, newsflash, it is normal. Very normal. I mean, that much of an age difference is not normal, but women desiring older men is normal. In fact, it's so normal that it's considered a human universal, something that is found in every civilization in the entire history of civilizations. Yeah, what if that's what she wants? What if she wants an older man just as much as an older man wants a younger woman? The left neglects this obvious question about female nature because it's not convenient for them and their 24/7 quest for more power. If you saw my opening clip and thought, oh, that study must have accidentally polled a bunch of pedophiles, or if you thought, oh, this just proves most men are pedophiles, then let me show you the rest of that clip.
I think this was OkCupid data from like 20 years ago. No, it wasn't OkCupid. This was might have been Science of Sex. They showed pictures of women to men, and this one's gonna piss you guys off. Do you know what age men consistently rated the highest? Without knowing the age, just looking at a picture of a female, what age scored the highest in sexual attractiveness every time?
We're like, it's pretty low.
20?
20,
It's like
21. 16, 17.
Is 14.
14.
Oh, wow.
And then when they added in information on the person, it jumped to 22.
Right.
But not like bios. It was like questionnaires. And the research found that men, so like this is the important thing. The average guy thinks teenage girls are the most attractive. Something interesting happens when you ask questions. Guys don't. The reason why it goes up to 22 on average is because teenagers are incapable of supporting a family. So men want, they want predominantly good genetics, which is seen through symmetry in the body. But if the man finds out the woman is really stupid, her attractiveness drops way down. It really is true. Now, there are probably a bunch of guys that are like, don't know, don't care because I get free sex. If the thought process for a lot of these guys is, I have zero responsibility, then they're going to be all over South Carolina.
So with this information, we're all left with two choices. Either all men are pedophiles, or being 14 is not part of childhood and thinking that it is a psyop. The word teenager itself is a psyop, to brainwash people into thinking that fully grown adults are still children. If men are nothing but creeps, why would men change their answer to 22 once they learn more about the women? Why would the answer change at all? You see, the left claims to be the side that values science after all. So from an evolutionary perspective, it should be obvious that what men want in women is youth so that they can make the healthiest babies. Why does men's preference jump to 22 after learning the woman's stupid? Unless a man is a deranged predator, youth is attractive but stupidity is a repellent. That is part of the natural order. My grandmother was 17 when she got married. My grandpa was 24. Remember what Matt Walsh said about 1957 being the year of the highest rate of teenage pregnancy? My grandmother was pregnant and a teenager that year. Guess who she was pregnant with? My mother. My grandpa wasn't just 7 years older than his teenage wife, but he was also her best friend's uncle. They were married for 63 happy years, and they had 9 children. In my opinion, the term age of consent is just as much of a psyop as teenager. If marriage was an institution that still existed, there should be an age of marriage. An age of consent wouldn't even be in anyone's vernacular as a result. Premarital sex should be completely illegal, even if you're engaged. I say marriage doesn't exist because it essentially doesn't. If you can get divorced for any reason you want, then it's not a marriage. Your society is broken if divorce is just as easy to walk out of as walking out of a front door. Divorce used to be one of the most shameful acts that people could commit, because the entire point of marriage is to raise a family together and remain together for life for the sake of those children and grandchildren. And now, marriage doesn't mean anything. Therefore, it doesn't exist, even if there's something still on paper we call marriage. So how should things be, in my eyes? Well, certainly not the asinine system we have now. I always go back to the natural order. And don't forget, natural in this context means something that has stood the test of time. The natural order is a girl's father protects her from when she's born until she's married. Then she is protected by her husband, and then after he dies, she is protected by her sons and her grandsons. Therefore, from birth to old age, a woman is always protected by a man, by her male family. Hopefully there's some overlap, of course. And when your society aligns with the natural order, well, suddenly it's not such an egregious idea to anyone if a woman gets married as soon as she becomes a woman. Instead of, oh my God, is this guy trying to take advantage of her? The question would become, does her father, the man who's protected her since she came into this world, who is her flesh and blood, approve of the man that she wants to be with? He is older, wiser, big, strong, and territorial. Her father can assess the situation better than she ever could at any age, especially since he is also a man. We've all heard the question, what are your intentions with my daughter? Even in this broken day and age. Every father wants to hear an answer along the lines of, my intentions are to take care of her, have children with her, and grow old with her. And don't anyone forget, not to mention, she may also have some brothers that he needs the approval of as well. Brothers can be just as protective as a father can be. A woman's male relatives will never stop being protective of her, even if they feel the need to protect her from her own husband, though that's not as commonly necessary as pearl clutchers want you to believe. The point is, women were never meant to have sex with just anyone. They have to carry children in their bellies for 9 months at a time, and they're more attached in every way to their children than men have ever been. They were meant to be married. Marriage is also a human universal, and that's why. It's necessary for both men and women to raise children together, not for one or the other by themselves. No matter how young women are when they get married, they were never meant to have the decision be entirely their own, but rather additionally be the decision of the men who've always protected them, namely their father. And this is yet another reason to despise single moms. They pretty much guarantee that girls will never have a proper man to guard them and guide them as they grow up. Oh, you can bet that someday I'll make a video about the cancer that is single moms. As always, the natural order is supreme. That's why monarchy is the greatest system of government and always will be. The supremacy of the natural order extends all the way down to the rules of reproduction. I'd like to make one simple request to projection artists and morons everywhere. Stop trying to keep full-grown adults juvenile.